Hey guys, it's Stephanie. This is my first look inside my classroom video, and I decided I wanted to share a lesson with you that I've used recently to help my students try to brainstorm some ideas for their narrative writing. So I like to do a couple of short narrative pieces with students to kind of help build up their writing stamina and help them feel like this is a genre they can be successful with. And then after they've done like maybe 4 or 5 of these, they get to pick which one they would like to take through the entire writing process. And then I provide them with guided mini lessons on how to do that. So this is one of those kind of pre-writing activities. But I also wanted to kind of incorporate some of the narrative nonfiction that we've been studying. So this assignment is called Encyclopedia of an Ordinary Life. This is an idea that I got from Kelly Gallagher's book, Write Like This. So I just kind of want to walk you through this document and how I used it with students, and then I'll show you a sample piece of student writing. So our I can statement, our goal for this lesson was I can identify relevant details to include in a personal narrative. So I started off by kind of activating my students' prior knowledge on what is an encyclopedia. And surprisingly, many of my students were able to give a very accurate definition, which I was a little bit shocked by, considering we have one set of encyclopedias in our school library, and it's very dusty, and it's never touched. But they kind of knew what an encyclopedia was. They told me it was like a dictionary, but more developed. It's a place where you can find information on anything, is what a lot of them said. And they also knew that it was organized in alphabetical order. So we started off with some different examples of encyclopedia entries that our students could write about themselves. So this again is a personal narrative, but their goal is to come up with an encyclopedia about themselves. So I gave a couple of examples: interesting facts about you, a pet peeve, that was a favorite one for students to do, a favorite or least favorite word, songs that get stuck in your head, a favorite movie, that type of thing. So I kind of read through that list with students, and then I kind of modeled how to come up with ideas. So I started off with like interesting facts about you. I said something like that I bowled for 10 years. Little known fact. My least favorite word, moist, disgusting. My middle name and where it comes from, etc. And then I paused and I let my students come up with a list of things about them that they could write about, different ways that they could incorporate interesting facts about themselves in their encyclopedia entry. So once students had done that, and I gave them an opportunity to share and turn and talk with some partners about their ideas, then I did this model for how I kind of followed this mentor text. So I showed students a couple of encyclopedia entries on my document camera so they could see what a real encyclopedia looks like. And then I kind of showed them this template and how I designed this template around that as a mentor text. So we start off here with the title for the first entry. So I told my students to first come up with their topic and then take the first letter of that topic and then explain why they're including that topic. And then I modeled for them the writing, just a couple of sentences explaining why this topic is being included as an entry in their encyclopedia. So after that, I kind of let my students give it a try. They tried out their first encyclopedia entries, and then we came back together, shared what went well, what was difficult. I kind of clarified what really belonged in this encyclopedia entry box, and then for the rest of class, students were free to draft as many entries as possible. Again, this was like a pre-writing activity, so many students kind of came up with like 5 entries. Some students really dove into it and came up with multiples and ended up publishing this piece of writing, and some other students who were not big fans of it kind of just came up with like 1 or 2. But I did kind of coach them through and helped them individually as I saw them begin to write on their own. So one of my students, again, this is just the pre-writing, and he eventually did publish this into a much longer encyclopedia about himself, and he included all letters A through Z. This is Malachi's piece of writing. He recorded some of his ideas here, and then he was able to follow my formatting, which was tricky for a lot of students. I ended up actually having them come back together and kind of retaught that real quick, and we looked at the mentor text again for understanding how and why an encyclopedia entry is organized this way. So you can see here he ended up writing about the Atlanta Hawks, Kendrick Lamar, cheeseburgers, his favorite food, a favorite word, and then, as I said, eventually he made another whole document where he came up with 26 entries all about his life and his interests and interesting facts about him. So the point of this lesson was definitely to help my students feel successful with writing personal narratives, but I also wanted to kind of take that narrative nonfiction genre and give my students an opportunity to explore it. And I also really wanted them to focus on a type of writing that they don't tend to see that often, but when they do see it, it's very helpful for them, and that's the writing of an encyclopedia. And I really wanted them to understand how to read an encyclopedia, the way that it's organized, and why the information that is inside of an encyclopedia is in there. So this is a kind of first look inside of my classroom for how I teach narrative nonfictional writing. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.